Big 12 fans have complained many times, myself included, about how Brett Yormark and the league are not tapping into the rivalry games in this league. Many of us are even upset that they're not playing games on rivalry week. So what gives? Well, in this episode of Couz's Corner, which is brought to you by Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner Attorneys at Law and Appalachia Digital, we're going to talk about the cold, hard facts related to Big 12 conference rivalries in college football. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. And we're going to do it right after this word from one of those sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college football news and analysis around West Virginia Mountaineers, the Big 12, and occasionally a little conference realignment. In this episode, we're talking about the Big 12 and rivalry games. We're going to talk about the cold, hard, unfiltered truth about rivalries in the Big 12 and why Brett Yormark and the league office is not tapping into those rivalries more frequently. Big 12 isn't playing games on rivalry week. They play games during rivalry week, but they're not rivalry games. And the Big 12, when they put out their conference schedule for like a 4 or 5 year time frame, they only protected 4 rivalries. They protected Kansas State, TCU Baylor, Utah BYU, and Arizona State. Those are the only rivalry games protected. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to try to find out why the Big 12 wouldn't want to protect these rivalries more rivalries, and why they wouldn't want to play games on rivalry week. So I dug into the numbers. And I'm here to tell you that after diving into the numbers, I now understand it. Here's the facts. Here's the unfiltered truth. The Big 12 does not have a lot of high-profile rivalries. It's just fact. And if you try to stack those rivalry games up against other rivalry games during rivalry week, they're going to get buried in the ratings. I mean, for example, you look at the Iron Bowl, which is played every year during rivalry week between Alabama and Auburn. It got 7.2 million views. You look at Ohio State, Michigan, 12.3 million views. Even the Egg Bowl between Mississippi and Mississippi State got 4.33 million views in 2024. Now, when you look at the games that were played during rivalry week in the Big 12, the only one of the rivalry games that I wrote down, what I consider rivalry games in the conference, there were only 2 played during rivalry week. Arizona State, and unfortunately, I was not even able to find the ratings for that game. I don't know why. I looked at Sports Media Watch, other websites, was not able to find it. It's unavailable. Not sure why. So I have no idea what kind of ratings it got. When you look at Iowa State, Kansas State, now it did pretty well. It did 2.01 million, and it aired on Fox. Now that's not bad, right? But it doesn't even compare to the other games in other leagues. Now, it does stack up to, you could say it stacks up to the South Carolina Clemson rivalry game, which got 2.4 million on rivalry week on ESPN. But again, the other ones, the Egg Bowl, more than doubled it. The Texas A&M game got 9.45 million viewers. So, I mean, all these games that were played on rivalry week trump any Big 12 game that's on. It just is what it is. Now, one of the arguments that I've made is the Big 12 should not focus on rivalry week, but they should play rivalry games. Try to play a rivalry every week during the season. That's kind of been my thing. That way you get a lot of eyeballs on at least one Big 12 conference game every week. But I'm going to be honest with you. After looking through these numbers, I'm not even sure that works that well. And I understand why Yormark in the league office didn't try to tap into the rivalries more. I mean, let's just go through the list here, okay? I wrote down some of the biggest rivalries, what I thought are some of the biggest rivalries in the Big 12. You've got Kansas State. They played in week 9 On ESPN2, the game got 708,000 viewers. Now, considering it was on ESPN2, that's not terrible. But it got stuck on ESPN2. What's that tell you? That it's not that important to the networks. Okay? The Kansas State-Iowa State game I already mentioned, 2.01 million on Rivalry Week. Arizona State could not even find the data for that one. BYU, Utah, Week 11, 2.07 million viewers on ESPN. Again, not terrible. Pretty good numbers, right? Here's the problem. That's the second, outside of any game with Colorado, if you look at strictly rivalry games, that is the second highest viewed rivalry game in the Big 12 all year. The other one only slightly ahead, and we'll get to it in a minute. The next one is Baylor TCU, 483,000 viewers on ESPN2. That's one of the protected rivalries. I put UCF Cincy as a rivalry because based on what I've seen from those fan bases on social media, I don't think they like each other too much. So I'm counting that as a rivalry. They played in Week 7 of 2024. That game only got 280,000 viewers on ESPN2. Again, because it was on ESPN2, it impacted the numbers, but it got relegated to ESPN2. Texas Tech TCU. Now, this was the most viewed. This shocked me. I thought BYU Utah would do better numbers. But Texas Tech TCU actually was the most watched, quote-unquote, rivalry game in the Big 12 all year, and it got 2.36 million viewers, and it aired on Fox in Week 9. Not bad. That stacks up with some of the bigger rivalries in the country. 2.36 million on Fox. Then the last one I wrote down, not sure how big of a rivalry this is, but it's two Texas schools. It's Texas Tech and Baylor. They played in Week 8, got only 316,000 views on ESPN2. So of all these games, you have Texas Tech TCU got 2.36 million, BYU Utah got 2.07 million, and K-State Iowa State got 2.01 million. Those were the only ones that even reached a million viewers of all the rivalry games in the Big 12. That's it. And of that, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are 8 rivalry games. I don't even know that we have enough rivalry games to fill out a 9-game conference schedule. I guess you could add one more in there, maybe. Not sure. Maybe you throw West Virginia Cincinnati in just for fun. I don't even know what other rivalry game. Maybe Colorado Kansas State, but you can't have K-State playing 3 rivalry games every year and other teams not playing any. That wouldn't make any sense. So it wouldn't make sense to do the rivalries either because K-State, you could say, has 3 rivals in the Big 12. West Virginia doesn't have any. Houston, not really any. So you see what I'm saying? It would be unequal scheduling if you try to pick a rivalry game every week. There aren't enough of them to go around, is the point. And then when you look nationally, any list you look at, the list of top rivalries in college football, the only 2 I could find that had any Big 12 teams in the top 25 were collegetransitions.com had the BYU Utah Holy War at the 18th biggest rivalry in the country, and ProFootballNetwork.com had it as the 12th biggest rivalry in the country. That is the only Big 12 rivalry I could find on any list that listed the top rivalries in college football. That's it. We have one, and it only makes the top 15, and that's only in certain polls. Others, it doesn't even make the top 15. So the Big 12 just lacks strong rivalries. Now, yes, the fan bases want to watch those rivalries, but from a national perspective, if you're wanting to get more eyeballs on the Big 12, they don't really have rivalry games to lean on, in my opinion. That is the cold, hard facts. That's what the numbers lay out. Again, some of these other rivalry games that I haven't mentioned. Now, the Florida State-Florida rivalry did not do all that great during rivalry week. It only got 1.37 million viewers, but it was on ESPN2. Even most games on ESPN2 in the Big 12 are getting under 1 million views. Florida State, Florida got 1.37 million. So I've already mentioned the South Carolina Clemson game. The Red River rivalry, which used to be a Big 12 game, just to show you why the Big 12 misses that game, guess what it got? 7.6 million views. And it wasn't even during rivalry week. You've just got 2 rabid fan bases whose teams hate each other. That's it. 7.6 million viewers. It was on and here all these rivalry games from these other leagues are all on ABC, ESPN, or CBS or Fox for the most part. With the Florida game being the exception. And remember, last year, Florida State was terrible. Had Florida State not been terrible, that game would have done much higher viewership and likely would have been on a major network, not on ESPN2. So, all things considered, the Big 12 just doesn't have big, significant rivalries to lean on to compete with these other leagues. So, for that reason, in my opinion, it's a bad idea to put Big 12 rivalry games during rivalry week. The only one that might stack, only two really, based on these numbers that might get viewership and might stack up would be the Holy War and maybe Texas Tech TCU. And that might even be an anomaly. I'm not sure because that game was played during week 9 of the season. Not sure what other games it had to go up against. I think that matters as well. So at the end of the day, I think Brett Yormark and the league office decided it was better to they wanted every Big 12 team to play all the other Big 12 teams at least one time over a 3 or 4 year period. And I think they decided to go that route because when they look at these numbers, they go, none of these rivalries move the needle. We can't compete with these other rivalry games in college football and these other power leagues. So they didn't try that. They tried to do something different. And it's hard after looking at the numbers. It's really hard to argue against that now. And I've changed my opinion on this. Looking at these numbers has made me change my opinion on Big 12 rivalries. But what do you think? I want to get your thoughts. Please leave them in the comments section. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video if you liked it. Don't forget to share it with your family and friends. And don't forget to subscribe to Couz's Corner and my WVU basketball channel, Hoops from the Hills. My VIP channel member shout-outs to this episode are Big Dan T, Browns and Beers, Crispy, OO, Jonathan Bell's Outdoors, and WVU Earl. Thank you all for supporting the channel. If you want to be a VIP member, there may be a join button below this on your device. If there's not, go to my channel homepage. There's a join button right beside my profile photo. You can join there, and I think there might even be a link in the description box. Go check it out. There are also, if you go to the description box, there are links to my merch store. There are links to my Fanatics store where you can do Fanatic shopping, and anything you buy while doing shopping there during that shopping quote-unquote trip, I'll get a small commission. There's links to ONIT athlete trading cards where I'll make commission. All that helps me out the channel. Helps me keep the lights on. Speaking of keeping the lights on, another shout out to my channel sponsors, Cats, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner, and Appalachia Digital. The Appalachia Digital folks are the ones who designed my brand new website, wvsportschat.com. They did a fantastic job. We're still making some tweaks, but it's still much improved from what I had in the past, and it looks good. If you want your small business to get found on Google, go check them out. If you want a brand new website, go check them out at appalachiadigital.com/Couz. Let them know I sent you. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Stay blessed and Q Country Roads.